there's no doubt that P. Diddy made a ton of his money from the arts and entertainment world. But what's not really spoken about is how he really made the big money. And it comes mostly from mergers and acquisitions. So in this video, I'm going to quickly walk through how Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, who's at the time of the recording under big fire for all the potential allegations, is somebody who really mastered the game of mergers and acquisitions. So from 1993 until 1998, really it was more of just being a normal artist. And he made his money, here and there, just being an artist, rapping with people and going in that route. But the thing that really made him his first big blip besides endorsement deals is really when he got into business. So he got into business and launched his own clothing line. And that seems to be like a clear route that a lot of people in that world start to do. In 1998, when he launched his clothing, in 1998, he launched his clothing line, and it took him 8 years to actually acquire one of his competitors. So the company was called Sean John, and he acquired majority stake. And by doing that, he really pumped up the valuation of his business. He then quickly sold his stake in Sean John for $70 million. So pretty much, long story short, he was in the arts, he went and did business, and then bought a competitor, sold that conglomerate of companies to another private equity firm that's more neutral for a higher amount. So from here, he takes a bit of another turn again. And what he did after is really just have an endorsement deal. I believe it was around several tens of millions of dollars on a 50-50 split on a drink called Ciroc. And this is just a normal endorsement deal, not really in the M&A world. But what he did after is start a TV company, sort of a TV network. And it was called Revolt. And by this time, he had the capital to pay, this time he had the courage to make a $200 million offer to acquire a potential competitor. And he was about to do this, but he actually lost the bid to Jennifer Lopez's company of all people. And then from there, it looks like he got out of M&A and then went back into more just, investing into businesses. So he had a very big, sprawling career of doing all sorts of things. But the two things I want to highlight is how he focused on acquiring a competitor, number one, and then how he attempted to acquire a competitor, and lost to Jennifer Lopez. So the main idea is, it seems like buying businesses and selling them at a profit is something that only happens a few times in somebody's life. So whenever and if ever you get the chance to buy a business, you have to be relentless, because you have to understand that, especially, even somebody as successful as P. Diddy, or hopefully the allegations and things, hopefully what they're accusing him of isn't true, hopefully. But in any event, looking at the past success of P. Diddy or Sean Combs and applying it to your business is just focusing on those few opportunities to make these mega deals. And maybe they're not mega to you, maybe they're just 2 million, 1 million, 5 million, or even less. But the idea is they don't come very often in a lifetime, in a career, that hopefully doesn't end and hopefully continues. So make sure that whenever you see the opportunity to buy a business, do what he probably did, which is use other people's money. Because it's very unlikely that when he saw that clothing competitor, he used 100% of his own money to acquire it. And you're even seeing the $2,000 bid that happened after. It's very unlikely that he used his own money. Because usually they'll use leverage by getting a lender, to lend a portion of all the money, right? And then after you use a portion of that, then the next step would probably be to put your own equity down payment. So for example, $200 million company, you can probably get a loan for, let's say half of it for $100 million based on the cash flows of that target company. And then you may have to put $50 million of your own money. And so that's why sometimes, using leverage and learning these things can be advantageous. Even when Elon Musk purchased Twitter, he barely used any of his own money, if any. Another thing that P. Diddy did is find a way to acquire a $180 million cannabis conglomerate. These were publicly listed companies. It seems like it was listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange, the OTC, and the NEO Exchange. So he purchased these assets, and I'm just reading the article right now. He purchased these assets as part of a sell-off due to some other acquisition that this company went through. So he purchased assets in, some cannabis companies, and it was called Cresco Labs. So this was just in 2023. So you can see that even when he went into investments, even more recently, it looks like his career started really picking up. And the reason for him purchasing the assets is, according to one of the team members, these assets offer the Combs team significant market presence, enabling them to make the most impact on the industry as a whole. It's been clear to us that Sean has the right team to carry on the strong legacy of those at Columbia Care and Cresco Lab facilities. So it's a really vague, it's more of a vague, when you look at what the statement is, today's announcement is bigger than a transaction. We've seen executive power exercised to address matters of cannabis and justice. We're seeing bipartisan support for elements of federal reform. My mission has always been to create opportunities for Black entrepreneurs in industries where we've been traditionally been denied access. And this acquisition provides immediate scale and impact needed to create a more equitable future in cannabis. Owning the entire process from growing and manufacturing to marketing, retail, and wholesale distribution. This is a historic win for the culture that will allow us to empower diverse leaders. So it seems like I guess the last bonus piece, it seems like he's focused on vertical integration, and totally he's all over the place and has tons of businesses. But he really has a lot of vertical integration that he has in mind. Because, for example, let's say that you help people set up companies in Dubai, because I have a good buddy that helps people set up companies in Dubai. There's so many different steps. Like the first step is, the paperwork submission to the government. There's another thing with the visas. There's another thing with the accounting. There's another thing with the tax. There's another thing with the keeping the visa. Another thing with travel. Another thing with payroll. So there's so many functions, right? And one thing that people that acquire businesses do, aside from acquiring competitors, as I mentioned, some people may seek to vertically integrate and to not just acquire competitors, but also to expand what they're doing so that they can continue to make money by selling services to those customers that are relevant. So it's like somebody who cleans cars, somebody who owns a car wash buying a detailing company. So it's relevant, and it's like a cross-sell or upsell. Let's say I clean cars, I own a distillery, I own a detailing company, and then I own a car dealership. You can see how it's vertically integrated. So in any event, make sure that you learn from Sean Combs. In your business, in your situation, if you want to acquire businesses, you can look at the realistic situation of acquiring competitors, number one. You can also look at selling after you acquire your competitor to somebody else at a higher value and making big money there. And then there's also the idea of vertically integrating your existing company that you own or you run, so that you can expand the things that you do. There are some people that have leftover assets after a transaction, which you could probably pick up at a discount. That's exactly what Sean Combs did. So if this is something that you want to do and apply for your own business, make sure you subscribe. You head to raises.com to learn more.